my young lady friend.
John, there you go. Nah, Linda's retiring. Had a little retirement deal.
Oh, I need a pen. I got all my best pens right here.
Hello? Can anybody hear me? Um, hello?
Call the Williams County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order for Thursday, November 16th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Mark? James?
Here.
Shane?
Here.
Tate?
Here.
Dan?
Here.
Barry?
Here?
Sherelle?
Here.
Louise?
Here.
We do have a quorum, so we will proceed. Are there any changes to the agenda? If there are, let me know. If not, we'll continue as they're presented. You've got the minutes from the October 19th meeting. What are the wishes of the board? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, new business. We've got a few public hearings, so we'll start with the one here, Mike Wells with Wells Rental LLC for a variance to construct a primary residence in the rural residential zoning district that's located in Heavenly Hills subdivision out in Nesson Valley. Michelle?
Okay, so for this one, it is for Mike Wells with Wells Rental LLC. They are requesting the variance to construct a 48 by 94 accessory building or a shop prior to a primary residence on the lot. The applicant does plan to build a home on the property, however, they have a home in town, so feel the accessory building is needed more at this time. Purpose for the building is to store personal items such as boats, jet skis, lawn care items, and golf carts. Subject property is accessed off 114th Road Northwest. It's, Lot 1R, Block 1 of Heavenly Hills subdivision, which is a re-subdivision of lots 1 through 7, Block 1, lots 1 through 3, Block 2, and vacated Lake Lane. With this one, it is Nesson Valley is the township, and it's governed by Williams County, so there's no township comment on it. Yeah, that's all I have on that one.
Any questions for Michelle? Okay, if not, I will open up the hearing. This is a public hearing. Is there any public input? Any public input? Last time, any public input? And that's Dr. Greg for the record. You're good, you're good. Do you want to add anything or? And I agree. Okay, anybody else wish to speak? I'll close the hearing. And I do know that is his intent, is to actually build a home in the future out there. That's, him and I have had conversations about it, and so. Okay, any comments?
I don't think, yeah.
There's a chance that I forgot to push the button. Got to remember, I'm not as smart as I look. Sorry about that. So I'll back up. What is the thought process about not wanting the garage there first? From the county's perspective.
Michelle or Cameron, you want to add to that on what they're trying to accomplish? You know, we get into these zone changes, that creates a whole nother set of issues, but the variance, I'm guessing the variance still allows more control for the county. But go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, that is correct. And Commissioner Kayla, to answer your question, the zoning ordinance doesn't allow for an accessory building within those zoning districts before the initial home is built. That's, I believe at the time, the intention was is a lot of these accessory buildings were built, whether it's rural, residential, or in residential districts, and then they turn into an oil field business. And so we had required the home to be built prior to that. However, somebody could come in and seek a variance to initiate the building of the shop or the garage before a home if the board sees fit.
Okay, thank you, Cam.
And that was then back in the crazy days of 11 through 15, and that's what triggered us to put this particular variance, so to speak, into place. That was the rationale, because it's exactly what you said. These things are popping up all over the county, either being used as a man camp or an industrial use.
That would be correct. And there are situations where I do feel that, this would be appropriate. But that's why it was initially put in.
Thank you. Any other questions? What are the wishes?
Did we reference the letter in support and the letter against in the packet?
We can, yeah, we certainly can, just because they are in our packet, it is public information. We do have, and I'm not, Garth Vangine, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly yet. Obviously, he is opposed to it. He says, though this property is listed as commercial and being taxed at that rate, it's clearly residential and should be taxed correctly. And I don't know where the other one is, Dan,
The other one is in that little,
in your little packet you gave
yep,
us
it
here.
came after,
Got it.
I believe.
And the other one that's been provided is from Joe Troba. He does not see a problem with the application. He does support that. So, thank you. Okay, what are the wishes? What would you guys like to do? You got the information to move forward with the criteria that's been presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance.
With staff comments?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Is there a second to that motion?
I will second.
Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Yeah.
James,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
Sherelle,
Yes.
Louise,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
and Tate.
Yes, motion carries. Next item, we have Dylan Hoyland for a variance to construct an accessory building with primary residence for rural residential. This is out in actually Tioga. So, Michelle, you're up.
Okay, so this one is located in the east half of the northeast of Section 15, Township 157, Range 95 West. It will be known as MS 23-0033. On this one, we have not heard back from Tioga Township. It may be a little confusing because the subdivision and zone change were just on last month's agenda, so they may have thought that they were getting a second one. I'm not sure. They never responded either time I reached out. The applicant is requesting the variance to construct a 36 by 72 accessory building prior to their primary residence. Purpose of building this is to store their personal items in prior to and during their building process of their home. The applicant will be building a home on the property at some time within the near future. Sounds like from just speaking with them, it will be most likely next spring into summer. The subject property is going through that minor subdivision review process currently to carve out this little section of land. And at the November 7th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners, the zone change was approved for this property contingent when the plat is contingent on the recordation. The plat is going through still the review process, should be finalized within the next week or so, I would assume. Access to this property will be off of North Dakota State Highway 40. And we received no public comment on this one either.
Questions for Michelle? If not, do you have one, Dan? Okay, if not, I'm gonna open up the hearing. This is a public hearing. Is there any public input? Any public input? Last time, any public input? Hearing, what are the comments, questions, wishes of the board?
Mr. Chairman, it appears that this was once a farmstead.
That's what it looks like.
Yes, it was. It's quite a nice place. I myself, I wouldn't have any reservations about it turning into an oil field business or a man camp or anything like that. And we all know that the construction season is pretty much over, so they're just trying to get their stuff squared away so they can move on into spring.
Thanks, Barry.
Is Barry on the phone or was
Yep.
that God?
Barry.
I'll make it-
All right, go ahead, Dan, you're up.
Whatever motion that would be appropriate, I will make it. Variance to construct an accessory building in this former farmstead.
With staff comments. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
James,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
Sherelle,
Yes.
Louise,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Tate.
Yes. Motion carries. Next item, we have, Ed's here again. This is on behalf of Paul Wyrock, requesting a variance for 2 lots to remain in the agricultural district. It's located up in Missouri Ridge Township. So I guess, Michelle, why don't you give us a little explanation on this? Because I think there's been some misunderstandings.
Yes,
If you
okay.
would, please.
Yep, so the applicant is requesting a minor subdivision to create 3 lots. The parent property is approximately 120 acres less the state highway. However, the northeast of the southeast will not be included in this minor subdivision, leaving approximately 69.86 acres. The newly created lots will be 39.31 acres and will be known as MS 230039. Approximately 17.55 acres, which will be known as MS 23-0040, and approximately 5 acres, which is MS 230041. The larger lot will remain in the agricultural zoning district, while the applicant is requesting a variance for the smaller 17.55 acre lot and the 5 acre lot to remain in the agricultural zoning district. Purpose of this minor subdivision is to separate out the lease site for a malting facility from the farmstead and tillable land that surrounds it. Back on July 19th of 2022, Paul Wyrock was present at the Board of County Commission meeting and received approval 4-1 to allow the malting facility as a permitted use of general farming practices and fit as a permitted agricultural use in the agricultural zoning district. At the time this was presented, there was no indication that the parent parcel would be subdivided into smaller lots. The minor subdivision for this project is currently working through the review process, and recordation of the plat will be contingent on the approval of the variance. The reasoning for the variance is because the 2 smaller lots do not fit the criteria of agricultural land in our subdivision zoning ordinance, which requires 40 acres. Access to MS 230039, which is the farmstead, is off of 57th Street Northwest, which is also known as US Highway 85B. Access to the MS 230041, which will be the malting facility site, and MS 230040, which is the remainder farmland, will be off of 139th Avenue Northwest. We did not hear any comment back from Missouri Ridge. I reached out again late last week and still heard nothing.
Thanks, Michelle. Anybody have any questions? Appreciate the clarification, because I think there was some misunderstanding where, and I was one of them, I thought this was attempting to go into commercial or industrial, and the whole intent of the bypass was to try to keep that stuff off, so that is clearly not the case. Big difference. So, with that being said, anybody have questions for her? Okay, if not, I'll open up the hearing. This is a public hearing, so is there any public input? Any public input? Yep, come on up, Ed.
Ed Rintameki, 49th Latitude Land Survey. I'm representing Paul Wyruck on this project. Paul is here, and he probably can best answer or give further explanation if necessary.
Okay, thanks, Ed. We'll go through the hearing, and then if we have questions, we'll ask Paul, since he's up. I do see him back there. Don't want to. This is a public hearing, so is there any public input? Any public input? I'll close the hearing.
Correct.
Set forth that we actually have provided. So, what would you guys like to do? How would you like to proceed? And I think in the big picture, this is a big thing for our area. I think it's a great thing for our region. And it could open the door for a whole lot, so I hope it works.
I would make a motion to approve with staff comments.
Okay, we have a motion from Barry to approve with staff comments. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
And then we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Go ahead, Dan.
Wondering if we couldn't have Paul and David come up and just kind of outline what they're doing
That'd be great.
for the benefit of the board.
You bet. Just come up to the podium, state your names. We already know where you live.
I'm Paul Wyrock.
David Amundson.
Just explain to us how how it works, what the process is.
Know what the process of malting is?
Yeah, I think, and what you're looking to do up there, so we have an idea.
Sure. So what we're looking at doing is setting up a malting facility to bring our grains in and turn the barley that we grow on our farms into malt and sell it for a premium rate versus what barley would go for in the open market. So it's a value-added ag project. The main reason for that we want to split that out is it's required from the Bank of North Dakota that we split that piece out. And if we don't, it won't be good for us, but they want to have that, the building and a small lot that the building sits on.
Okay. Do you-
That's the major reason for it. As far as the farmyard, right now, the lines, if I were to describe it and go on the eighth line, it would have been a 40, but then the highway took a bunch of land out of there, so I wanted to try to keep that farmyard close to 40 acres. And if you describe it and keep it in the 40, the barn is separate from the house. So that's the reason for splitting it off basically around the farmyard. So that's the what's close to 40, trying to meet that 40-acre requirement. There is close to 200 acres total with the pasture land to the north. So then the acreage with the building and then around the building is farmland.
And then the plant itself, I mean, how many bushels are we talking as a whole? And are
About
we,
65,000 bushels a year is would be maximum capacity with the equipment that we have that'll fit in that building.
and then do you have to have requirements do you have to meet certain requirements with the state for water usage or what's the word I want to say? Maybe that's not the correct terminology, but
Well,
do you have to have a holding pond or anything of that sort?
no, because it's coming out, it's the water that goes into it just goes into the grain and is drained back out. There's no chemicals, there might be some dirt in there with the grain or some things that float, in the water, but it's no different than what would come off any grain cleaning.
So where does the water go?
We're planning on irrigating it. We're gonna put it in big tanks and then irrigate with it.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Anybody have questions?
So Paul, the impact would then be 65 truckloads a year?
Yeah.
Similar to a smaller farmstead?
Small farm, yeah. As far as the traffic, and the traffic's not coming off the highway, I mean, it's going onto a township road before it goes on into the plant. So it's- As far as impacting the bypass, there's already really good turn lanes and everything from both directions going in there onto that township road, and then we go up the township road and turn onto the site. It shouldn't be like a lineup or anything, it's Dave and I, so.
All right, you guys have any questions for him? Any other questions? Okay, thanks, guys, for giving us that update or brief
If you have any
explanation.
questions,
Right, thanks, guys. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further conversation? All right, roll call, please.
Dan,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Louise,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Barry,
Yeah.
James,
Yes.
Tate.
Yes, motion carries. Thanks, guys. Next one, we have, the schedule, I guess, does that have to be a public hearing? No. That's just for conversation and discussion? Okay. So we've got there in front of us the calendar for the 2024, calendar. To adopt this, is that what we do? Do we actually need to approve it?
It has to be approved.
Okay.
I looked back last year to see.
And we're still on board to keep the same third Thursday of the month. How I make sure I'm on the same page.
Yeah, and I'll update the calendar so it actually has the correct year.
Okay, what are the wishes of the board on this one?
Tate, I just want to comment that for those meetings, I'll be racing home or I'll be on the phone because they conflict with my other obligations.
And I'm sure there could be some come summertime where I may be gone too, but we'll cross that bridge. Just let us know. We'll do the best we can to coordinate. Okay, what are the wishes regarding calendar?
I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And real quick to add to that, can you maybe put on the next agenda then for December, you guys? Because I think we're gonna have to do the chair, vice chair, and so on. So it's prepared and ready to go for January.
Yep, that's on
Good.
next month.
It is, okay.
Yep.
'Cause I know we forgot one year, so thank you. Okay, under old business, we've got Ed's on there again for Ms. Pasternak. We tabled this one from the last meeting to get some clarity, so to speak, on what the intentions are from Mr. Cook. You also have a letter from Smith and Forsberg from Dave himself regarding this, representing Mr. Cook on what his intentions are. Michelle, do you want to add anything by chance? I don't know if there really is.
There's not much to add. When talking to John Cook, he did say that he does plan to reside there part-time throughout the year. Has plans to have it remain as the farmstead, no intentions of having any type of commercial business there. Said that LMA is a dear friend and that if she didn't think that what he was going to do with the property was up to her specs, he would not be able to buy it. Yeah, I took more pictures that I added into the packet as well of just like the different outbuildings so you guys could see exactly what's out there.
And I do know both of the parties well, and I do know they've had a long relationship prior to this. And John has stored stuff in those sheds or outbuildings for years. And, whether he rents it out or he lives in there, I don't know that. The grain bins are gonna stay with the farm itself. Ms. Pasternak is literally just trying to clean up stuff. So with that being said, it falls within the criteria of what he's trying to accomplish. What are the wishes of the board? That's 2 rounds, buddy. Oh. Okay, what are the wishes regarding the change the word residential.
Move to approve with staff comments.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Louise,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
Sherelle,
Yes.
and Tate.
Yes, motion carries. Any other discussion items? Yes, please, come up.
Good evening, Cameron Heimer, Development Services Director. I just wanted to add under discussion items, back in June of this year, our department was tasked by the county commission to work with a third-party contractor to update our zoning ordinance in regards to data centers, specifically cryptocurrency mining. And so we have been working with SRF Consulting, and I just wanted to let you know that next month on the agenda, you should have an amendment to the ordinance that we have worked with our portfolio commissioner on the county board to update our ordinance specifically addressing those. So I just wanted to give you a heads up, it's coming next month, so you can review it, any concerns, anything, reach out to us, but
Are there going to, something in there yet in relationship to sound?
so we're
Maybe that's
yes,
not the
that's
correct.
something we've worked on a lot. It'll be in there, but the way we have decided to pursue the sound issue is by setbacks from structures.
Which is,
Decibels are a little tricky. That's not something that the counties, we've been advised by attorneys that that's not something that we should look to because you have to be certified, have to have certified equipment, and so the best way to handle that is by setback distances
okay,
from occupied structures.
does that mean, could you require them to put a berm up as well? Or is that where we run into issues with engineering side of things?
The performance standards, I believe we address that as well, and we'll have it in there, and you'll have a chance to review it before next month's meeting, and if you feel like there needs to be changes, the county commission did put in a 6-month moratorium, so we have had a moratorium on them that was set to expire December 20th. However, at the last meeting, the commission extended it until February 22nd in case there's a table and we need to make adjustments at the planning side and the county commission side.
Okay.
But it will be coming on for next month's agenda. I just wanted to make you
Nope, I appreciate that. Thanks, Ken. Any question? Go ahead, Dan.
well, at the last meeting, it was alluded to some legislation allowing this, and we asked for a copy of it. Did anybody get a copy of it?
Yeah,
So there-
it was, allowing on the well sites, and I sent it out quite a while ago. It was a couple days after, but I know Louise for sure got it.
Correct. So the NDIC had sole authority and oversight on any type of cryptocurrency on well pads. We had a complaint on one. We went and investigated, initially looked to open up a file on that, and then we had Karen look into the further, and it looks like it had just passed this summer, the new law that we can't control any zoning or any activities at all on the pad.
Did it go out in email?
Yes, it did. And I think it's like titled well sites.
Okay, I'll look for that.
We can send you another.
So then the NDIC has the ability to permit adult entertainment or anything else on a well site?
In theory, yes.
They have such a great track record.
So that was just an update. That's why I wanted to add it under discussion items. It'll be on
Bet.
for next month.
Thanks, Cameron.
Yep, thank you.
All right, anybody else have anything? If not, we've got our meeting set for December 21st, and yeah, that should work out. Christmas is on what, Sunday? Yeah, whatever it is, anyway, so I guess it's good. I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. If you're traveling, safe travels. James, have a safe trip tomorrow. Shane, you have a safe trip for the week. Anybody else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yep.
I'll second.